Well, hello there. Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, and today is amazing because I finally get to talk about StarFox Zero. So, as you know, StarFox Zero for the Wii U has just released this past Friday, April 22nd. Very hotly anticipated, a lot of excitement surrounding this game, a lot of controversy surrounding this game, of course, we all know. I've talked about it quite a bit on Rule of Two Review. I am a huge StarFox fan, so I was so pumped to have this series finally returning, as it should have been a long time ago. This game, the release of this game, is literally 11 years in the making, and that's just crazy to think about. When I first booted this game up yesterday morning, it was an insane feeling to realize, oh my god, like, I have a StarFox game. I'm putting in and starting a brand new StarFox game. A mostly brand new StarFox game, I should say. And that's really great, you know? But of course, there's some things kind of surrounding the title that are a little bit controversial. The controls and the visuals, probably the number one things. And also, I think the release time, the fact that it seems to be near the end of the Wii U's life, and we have the Nintendo NX and their new hardware looming around the corner sometime soon. So does it make sense for Nintendo to release a high-profile game so late in the life cycle of the Wii U? And I totally think that's fine. I absolutely think it does make sense for them to do this. It's a great time to release a high-profile game for the Wii U because Nintendo wants to still give faith to the consumers in the platform, and rightfully so, because it's a great platform, and if it's truly dying sometime soon, I shouldn't say dying, that's harsh, but going away sometime soon, they got to do something to, I think, flesh out the rest of this year and give us Nintendo fans and Wii U owners something else to look forward to. But of course, I want to get to the nitty-gritty of StarFox Zero and just discuss my quick thoughts about it. Ultimately, this game is awesome, you guys. It's great. It's a brand new StarFox game. What this, of course, is, I use the word brand new, I guess, a little bit hesitantly. It's some sort of reimagining or rebooted version of StarFox 64. Now, that was something I wasn't quite sure what that meant as I was hearing it leading into the release of the game. And now that I've been playing it for a little bit, I'm about 4 or 5 missions in, and there's 12 missions total, and there's a lot of replayability and alternating paths within the missions. So I'm probably like a third of the way through everything you can play in the game so far. Now that I'm playing and I'm this far into the game, I'm sort of understanding what it means to have reimagined or rebooted StarFox 64, because it's not an identical game with better graphics and a new control scheme. It's like the skeleton of that game. Some of the missions are very much echoing some of the other missions in StarFox 64, as far even where they're placed on the map as you're choosing your path through the actual game experience and the different levels and missions. But there's enough differences that it makes it feel like it's still brand new. There are even some moments where some of the lines are the exact same, like when Peppy is like, "Great going, Fox, you're becoming more and more like your father," and a couple of things like that. It's like, dude, that's ripped right out of StarFox 64. The very first mission, the Corneria mission, is literally the exact same thing, the exact same order of events, and some of the enemies are new, but some of the enemies are the same. They come at the same times. There's a point where you can branch off into another way to go through and finish the mission, where you follow this big ship. That's just like what happened in the original first Corneria mission of 64. Pretty cool stuff. And still, some of the final bosses and final moments in that level are brand new things. And I love that they took the idea of StarFox 64 and just improved and changed some of it. And then there are other segments and missions that I've played that are completely different and completely brand new. Most of the dialogue is brand new, but there are moments like that Peppy hairline and some other things where it's literally ripped right out of the original. And I think it's cool. It's like an homage to one of probably my 10 favorite games of all time, as well as still making it feel new and fresh for a lot of different reasons, of course. But ultimately, like I was saying a second ago, this game is great. I'm loving it. It feels great to have a new StarFox game. Some of the controversy, let's get into the big thing. Of course, the big thing is the controls. What do I think of the controls? And I was very excited for them. I loved the idea when I first heard about it 2 years ago at E3, when we didn't see StarFox, we just kind of knew what was happening with it. I was really, really excited for that. And even as we saw the game and got closer, I was still excited, but I understood that there was some nerves and trepidation within the industry and amongst gamers, and is it actually going to be good? The reviews came out, and some reviews say that the controls are okay, or they're pretty good once you get used to them. Some reviews absolutely hated the controls, and we kind of knew to expect that. So I still was like, okay, I'm excited for these controls, but I recognize I haven't played them. Maybe they're complete trash and it's going to ruin the experience. I'm going to be really sad with this new StarFox. I can happily tell you that that's not the case. There is a learning curve. The learning curve might even be steeper than I really wanted it to be, but at the end of the day, that's okay. The first couple of missions, I was like, man, like, I'm doing this. I can play this game. Okay, I'm getting things. I'm doing, okay, this is good. But I was certainly struggling, and I was like, oh, okay, Jesus. Oh, my God. I'm getting shot from, oh, God, I can't figure out how to do, what am I doing here? Like, there was so many moments like that for sure. But, you know, I was calm. I was prepared. I knew that was going to happen. Luckily, I'm very good with the gamepad when it comes to unique uses of it. I use it so often, and I'm pretty good at it when it comes to using it in like a quick sort of manner like that. So I played the first couple of missions and I got better and better, and I was like, okay, like I'm starting to feel it a little bit. The levels, the missions, some of the enemies and the bosses, they're designed with the unique lock-on mechanic. That's also very jarring when like on the TV it focuses your view on this one thing in the background, and then the R-Wing flies around it as you control it. But you really want to focus at those times on your screen and kind of move that around and find enemies. And it is a very tricky balance at first. Absolutely, you guys, it is a very hard balance. However, it is a balance I think that one can learn because I've learned it. I'm learning it still, and I'm getting better every time I do it. There's two other things that you can control, of course, two other versions of the R-Wing. One of them is the little walker, the chicken walker thing, and the other is actually not the R-Wing, but it's the gyro machine that you control. The gyro machine is awesome. It controls fantastically, and I think the uses of it in the little bit that I've tried it in 2 missions so far is very, very cool, very intuitive, easy to use. Lots of unique uses with the gamepad as you drop the little guy called I who you control around, and then you take him back up. It all works beautifully and fantastically, and it's a very slow moving machine, and I think that's why. The walker. The walker is the closest to not great or bad control I think I've dealt with so far. There's no doubt that in the realm of control, everything else works. The R-Wing stuff takes getting used to, but it works pretty damn well once you get better and better at it. The gyro is great. That's pretty easy right off the bat. The walker, man, I still struggle with it a little bit. I am improving as I've gone back and played some other missions. That's what I've done to kind of get better is go back and play missions. But it's, I think, the biggest trick, and I'll probably talk about this on the Juices Loose podcast tomorrow a little bit more, but the biggest trick to me was how they make the right thumbstick your turn left and right, and the left thumbstick where you'd want to walk forward and backwards and also strafe, it doesn't do that. All it'll do is move you forward. And that's tricky because you start trying to use it to turn and it doesn't really turn, and then you're like, what's going on? And if you just want to turn your view, are you using your hand or using the gyro on the controller, or do you need to use the thumbsticks? And it's really confusing. Once I settled in and let myself realize it's the right thumbstick that's going to allow me to move, that made it exponentially better, and it's helped get me better at using it for sure. The dashing, the moving back and forward, the strafing, it's a great, unique idea, the walker. I don't hate it, but it is really hard to control still, and I'm still adjusting to it. It's a very difficult thing. So that's the one area where I think they needed to fine-tune it a little bit more, make it a little bit easier to adapt to, and just be able to control without having to think about it too hard. And it's too bad they didn't, but that's okay because everything else works very well. The last thing I'll say about the controls is what I've noticed, and I just mentioned this a second ago, is I went back and played some of the earlier missions. You know, I'm still in the early missions, but I went back and played the first 2 missions after getting to like the 5th or whatever I've made it to. And oh my God, after playing straight a couple of missions where I've gone through all 3 of the main vehicles you can control, and then I go back to the first Corneria mission in just the R-Wing, I devastated. I was killing it. I was getting combos like old school. I was making my points go up. I was dodging as I needed to. I was able to use the screen, the aiming, and look at the TV and do everything that I needed to very, very well, very competently. And I'm only getting better as I go. So that's something I can give, a piece of advice I can give to anyone who has the game or is going to get the game and is nervous about the controls. You got to be prepared to suck horribly for the first like 3 or 4 missions, but you'll start to get it. And I recommend before you go into the second and third kind of parts of the entire game and all the missions, go back and replay some earlier missions. It will help you. You will see how you're improving. And then, just like some people have said, you will get into like this zen-like state with these controls. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm actually really good. And then you see why they did what they did with the controls, and it starts to make sense. So I haven't fully finished the game. There are issues with the controls. I do think that the barrier of entry is probably still too big. I appreciate what Nintendo did here and what Miyamoto did. Ultimately, I think it was a fine decision to do so, but I think that it should have been either A, we should have been able to completely turn them off, or B, they should have somehow find a better marriage between basic play for regular gamers and the high difficulty spike for using these controls. Like, I think there should have been a better balance found, but ultimately, like a lot of us expected, if you put in the time, you're going to be fine, and you'll figure it out. So I have to report that while the controls, I think, are harder to get into than they should have really been, honestly, Nintendo, they're still great once you figure them out. It was a really cool way to design this game, and I'm loving it, and it's helping me all of a sudden play a brand new StarFox game, and it's fantastic. The visuals, I love the art style, as per usual. Nintendo knocks it out of the park. I think it looks great. The 60 frames per second is fantastic. You're seeing some of my footage in the video below over here. And I don't have a 60 frames per second capture card, unfortunately, so you're seeing it in 30, but you've probably seen what the 60 frames looks like online. It's gorgeous. That absolutely helps. Yes, the geometry is simple, even simpler than I was going to expect going into it, but it's still gorgeous. And the backdrops and the way the planets and the explosions and like the star nebulas in the background look awesome. The water effects are great. Well, the water itself is great. The splash is not so much, but the water looks really great. The boss and enemy designs, I think, are actually really cool. They're right out of typical StarFox stuff. Overall, I'm more than pleased with the visuals. The 60 frames per second helps. It dips a little bit in the second mission, which is weird because you're in space, and I don't know why, but whatever. Other than that second mission, I've had no problems with the frame rate. And I think it's great. You know, the game looks fantastic. It looks like StarFox. I love the way the stylized look to the animations and the look of the characters in the dialogue boxes as they talk to you. The 3D sound coming with all the talking coming to you from the gamepad is awesome. Reminds me of Zombie U. I think it really adds to the immersion, having a lot of your cockpit sound and dialogue and like some of your firing and stuff coming from the gamepad. It's great. You can turn that off though, which is also really neat. The touchscreen lets you either put all the sound onto the TV, or you can make it so that all the dialogue and stuff comes out of the gamepad, and it's really cool. So, you know, I mean, ultimately, that's the most I could talk about so far. I've put in like 4 or 5 hours. I'm almost halfway through. Maybe like 3 or 4 hours. It's a short game. My girlfriend and I are going to do the co-op soon. I might do a video of her and I playing the co-op. If you guys want to see that, you can let me know. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see what it's like. Maybe get my girlfriend on camera a little bit. She's more than willing to do it. She's excited to do it. So we'll see. You guys let me know if you're interested in that. But ultimately, Star Fox Zero is awesome, man. It's not the perfect 10 I would have wanted it to be, and I think that there are elements of this that probably don't ultimately make it the exact Star Fox we should have gotten after 11 years. Full disclosure, as a super Star Fox fan who is going to this with a positive outlook, ready to accept the controls, I will still admit it's probably not the Star Fox game we should have gotten after 11 years. I think that they could have given us something a little more straightforward, quicker pace, badass action, not difficult with the weird controls, better looking even, yeah, all these things, but it's not like they gave us a bad game. They actually gave us a fairly great game, and I'm more than happy with it. It was worth my $60. You know, it's worth your money if you're a Nintendo or a Star Fox fan, or even if you're just a gamer. Like, gamers should play this stuff. You should experience these cool controls. Let yourself get good at unique controls like this and see why these quirky ideas are sometimes great for gaming. You know, ultimately the game is still very pretty. I'm very happy with the visual style. The controls are unique and immersive once you get good at them. And, you know, while, yes, we could have had a better Star Fox game overall, maybe to usher in Star Fox after such a long hiatus, I think it's great. It plays on nostalgia, which might not work for younger gamers who didn't grow up with Star Fox, and I get it. I feel very sad for you, but I get it. But I'm an older gamer, middle-aged gamer, you know, 35, and I grew up with Star Fox from the very first one all the way to today. And I am more than happy with this. Nintendo gave us a great Star Fox game. It's so good to hear the music and see the characters and do the R-Wing combat, and just to hear the good luck, the little weird good luck thing it says before every mission, brings back such great memories. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Those are my not so quick thoughts on Star Fox Zero. It's not perfect. It's not amazing 10 out of 10, but it's awesome. It feels great, and I'm happy with Star Fox Zero so far. So tomorrow on The Juice is Loose, we'll obviously be discussing it quite a bit. So I'll give more in-depth thoughts. Everyone else, all the other guys will of course too. So definitely tune into that since I'm pretty much a regular every Monday. Really excited to talk about Star Fox with those guys. And, if you've played it, share your thoughts. If you're curious about it, share your thoughts about my thoughts and what you've seen from reviews online. And I guess that's pretty much it. Once I've completed the game, I might make another video or do a Let's Play with my girlfriend. So that's it. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.